Ooh.
Is now a good time to talk about my rates for talent on these videos? My on-screen, on-camera work is much more expensive than...
This is why we don't do Q&A videos. Hello, you're watching the Plain Bagel. We are back again with another Q&A video, our 10th one, I think, and it's the first one of the new year. So Happy New Year. Craig, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, Richard.
How you doing? It's been a while since we've let you talk on camera.
Well, yeah, I don't exist until you let me talk on camera, so
Yeah,
I just
that's
want to
great.
say hi to my family.
Yeah, okay.
I'm doing well.
But yeah, for those of you who might be new to the channel, Q&A videos are an opportunity where we do a bit more casual questions, obviously, that we take from the YouTube comments section. So if you have a question you want us to answer in the future, whether it be about finance or the channel or the videos, leave a comment down below and we'll try our best to get to them. But without further ado, let's get on it.
Jeff Sykes asks, if passive investing creates market distortions, shouldn't active investors be able to identify and exploit those distortions? Wouldn't this bring the market back into efficiency and creating a cycle of distortions and corrections, making money for both parties?
Yes, and we actually have a video on that exact topic called about the Grossman-Stiglitz paradox. It was a collaboration with Ben Felix. So yeah, Grossman-Stiglitz, the paradox is exactly what you mentioned. It's the idea that when there are market inefficiencies, active investors will move to the market, take advantage of that, make their money, but thereby making the market efficient once again. The thing to keep in mind, for people who think that makes the markets always efficient, is that the time frame over which that happens isn't necessarily instantaneous. Just as soon as an inefficiency pops up doesn't mean we have enough active investors taking advantage of that to correct the inefficiency. In my opinion, if we did, we wouldn't have things like bubbles, like market crashes, the big swings in the market that we see. I believe a lot of those are inefficiencies to some degree. So yes, it is true that over long term, that kind of cyclicality that you mentioned exists, and we will always have active investors pushing markets back towards their efficient point. But the time frame varies, and it could be months, it could be years, it could be days. It's hard to know, and it obviously changes per situation. But great question nonetheless.
Soul Stratus asks, why do I keep hearing deflation is bad?
Yeah, that's a question that a lot of people have. And I understand where the question is coming from. Deflation is when prices fall or when a currency becomes more valuable. And obviously it sounds like a good idea. I obviously don't want to pay more next year than I pay right now for, anything, for food, for shelter, whatever it be. So yeah, it's not necessarily that deflation is bad for the consumers inherently, but it's more so that the environment that deflation comes in is negative. Deflation only typically occurs when we have a bad environment, when we have a bad economy. Because when you think about it, if you have a store that's selling goods and it's not having enough demand to sell those goods, it will have to lower the price it sells those goods to attract more consumers. That's deflation. But in the process, they might have to lay people off because they can't afford to pay them anymore. They might need to, downsize. And these are all things that are indicative of a recession, of a downturn. So again, it's not that lower prices are bad, but it's that the environment in which we see them is typically a bad economic environment. It's when we see contraction of business activity. The other thing too is deflation isn't just prices, right? It's your wage as well. So when we see deflation, it's not just that prices are going down. It could be that your wage, the amount you're being paid, is going down because these companies can't afford to pay you as much. And there are people who believe that deflation itself is actually bad, not just the environment it occurs in. Some people believe it causes this thing called hoarding, which is where people don't buy stuff now because they know the price is going to be lower a year from now. And some people think that causes like a negative feedback loop. Because people are buying less today, it leads to more deflation. Companies are lowering their prices further, which leads to more people hoarding and waiting to buy stuff. And it's just a continual negative feedback loop, which again causes unemployment, lowers profitability, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's all stuff worth considering, and it's why a lot of economists think that a low inflation rate is the best case scenario, because low inflation means there's active business activity, and because it's low, it's not deteriorating the currency too quickly. Obviously, some people disagree with that, and if you put money in a bank account, you're kind of paying this hidden tax on when inflation occurs. But that's the viewpoint, the traditional viewpoint of a lot of economists.
On the shorting video, Clap4Babees asks, why would someone let another person borrow their stock in the first place?
I don't think that's how you pronounce that name, but we'll go with it.
It's how I'm doing it.
So I don't have a detailed understanding of how it works behind the scenes when stock is shorted, but from my understanding, you don't know when someone's borrowing your share. If you buy your stock through a broker, that broker kind of does this all behind the scenes. In the same way that when you give your money to a bank in a checking account, that money is used by the bank while they hold it to lend to other people. They use your money, even though your account balance says you have a certain amount, that money is being used out and about by other people. And because these institutions are big enough, if you decide that you want to sell that share, even if they have it lent to someone else who's shorting it, they're able to kind of backfill with their own inventory or with whoever to allow you to fulfill your sell. So you still have claim to that share while it's being used, but yeah, it all kind of happens behind the scenes. You don't even know if it's being done. The reason why they do that, though, is they get paid kind of like an interest rate when they lend out their shares. So they're compensated for doing this, which is why they do it. But yeah, you actually don't get to decide usually if your shares are being shorted.
Daniel Shaikali asks, do you work or full-time YouTube?
I do, sorry, I don't do full-time YouTube. What? Sorry. One more time, please.
This is the easiest question.
I know! I don't know what's going on. I work full-time and I do YouTube part-time. So it's actually a pretty good symbiotic relationship. I work in an investment company, so what I learn in my job, a lot of it helps me make these videos. You know, if I research a certain company, that might bring up a topic to cover in a future video. But yeah, I make these videos, I record on weekends and I edit during my lunch breaks. And that's all stuff that you can find out on my new website, plainbagel.com. You should go check it out. It's really cool. There's a lot of cool links. You can learn about me, the channel, Craig a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Check it out. And that's all the questions we have. Thank you very much for watching. Again, if you have any questions you want us to cover in the future, leave a comment down below. And we get quite a few of them, but we will try our best to answer your question. Thanks again. Make sure to check out the website, plainbagel.com. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.